Have you ever stopped and asked yourself this question? Who really wrote the song you are singing in the house of God? Have you considered that not every melody, not every lyric, not every sound that echoes in worship comes from heaven? Some songs are not born in the Spirit of God, but are inspired by the enemy of your soul. The devil has written songs, and many have carried them into the holy assembly, lifting them as if they were holy offerings, while in truth they are chains in disguise. And today, my heart burns to tell you this truth. Many of God's people are unknowingly singing the very songs the devil wrote, and those songs are shaping their faith, weakening their spirit, and pulling them away from the power and purity of God. The devil has always been a master of music. He knows that melody reaches deeper than sermons, that rhythm can slip into the soul before words are understood. Music bypasses walls, penetrates emotions, and lodges itself in memory. That is why the devil uses music more than anything else. He knows if he can get God's people to sing his lies, those lies will become their beliefs. If he can get you to sing about weakness, you will live in weakness. If he can get you to sing about defeat, you will walk in defeat. If he can get you to sing about self, you will never exalt God. The devil understands that a song on your lips can become a spirit in your life. And this is why we must be discerning. Not every song that mentions God carries his spirit. Not every melody that sounds holy is born in heaven. Some songs were written in hell, and the people of God are singing them without knowing. There are songs in churches today that glorify feelings rather than glorifying God. Songs that magnify human emotion, sadness, and brokenness, but never lift the soul to the throne of God. There are songs that endlessly repeat empty phrases, stirring the flesh but not the spirit. Songs that make people feel spiritual, but leave them powerless against sin, powerless against temptation, powerless against fear. These songs are not born from the fire of God. They are written to numb you, to keep you entertained, to make you mistake emotion for anointing. And the devil smiles when God's people sing them, because he knows they will leave the house of God unchanged. A true song of God will never exalt weakness without pointing to his strength. A true song of God will never glorify despair without magnifying his power to deliver. A true song of God will never leave you in your sorrow, but will lift you into faith, into victory, into the unshakable reality that God is greater than every storm. But today, many songs leave people wallowing in their pain, circling around their wounds, singing endlessly about their struggle, while the name of God is only whispered as an afterthought. Who do you think wrote such songs? Not God. For God is not the author of confusion, nor the composer of despair. God is the giver of strength, the fountain of victory, the song of freedom. But the devil has written songs that keep you chained to your feelings, and you sing them as if they are holy. Music has always been spiritual warfare. Think of it. When David played the harp, the evil spirit tormenting Saul fled. Why? Because the song was pure, born from the Spirit of God, filled with holiness. But now, what happens in many gatherings, songs are sung that have no power to drive away darkness, no authority to break chains, no anointing to bring healing. Instead, The songs invite entertainment, performance, and self-centeredness. And people clap, they sway, they cry, but the devil does not flee, because the song is his. And yet it is sung as if it belongs to God. Beloved, we must awaken. We must discern the songs we sing. We must test the lyrics, the spirit, the origin. Does the song exalt God or exalt the singer? Does the song glorify the throne or glorify the stage? Does the song lead your heart to worship or simply stir your emotions? A song that truly comes from God will draw you out of yourself and into His presence. It will silence fear, strengthen faith, and cause the devil to tremble. But a song from the enemy will trap you in cycles of emotion, lead you to exalt your pain, and weaken your spirit until you are easy prey for the lies of the devil. The danger is this: once a song enters the mouth of the church, it becomes doctrine in melody. People may not remember the sermon, but they will remember the song. They may not memorize scripture, but they will sing the lyrics every day. And if those lyrics are not truth, they will carry lies into their hearts, repeating them until they believe them. The devil knows this. That is why he writes songs that sound sweet but are poisoned. Songs that feel spiritual but are powerless. Songs that mention God but do not glorify Him. Songs that replace worship with performance. Songs that replace truth with feeling. Songs that replace holiness with entertainment. And when God's people sing them, they are feeding on poison with a smile. Do not be deceived. Music is not neutral. Every song has a spirit behind it. Every melody carries a seed. Some songs carry the seed of heaven. Others carry the seed of hell. And the seed you allow into your heart through your lips will grow. That is why God warns us to guard our hearts with all diligence. For the heart is shaped by what we repeat, by what we declare, by what we sing. If the song you sing was written by the devil, then you are watering the very seed of destruction with your own mouth. But if the song you sing is birthed by God, you are declaring life, victory, and faith into your spirit. We must return to songs that are filled with the Word of God. Songs that exalt His greatness, His majesty, His holiness. Songs that silence the flesh and awaken the spirit. Songs that make the devil flee, not laugh. Songs that cause chains to break, not emotions to rise and fall. Anchor songs that declare the eternal truth of God's power and not the fleeting feeling of man's weakness. For when you sing such songs, you are not entertaining yourself. You are waging war. Every lyric becomes a sword, every melody a shield, every chorus a battle cry against the enemy. This is the music of heaven, and this is what the people of God need today. But the devil is cunning. He does not put his name on the song. He wraps his lies in melodies that sound holy, in lyrics that seem harmless. He knows the people of God are often more moved by music than by truth. And so he uses music as his weapon. He places his songs in the mouths of talented singers. He fills the air with his rhythms, and he sends them into the house of God disguised as does worship. And because they sound beautiful, many accept them. Because they stir emotions, many call them anointed. Because they are popular, many declare them holy. But popularity does not prove purity. Emotion does not prove anointing. A song that pleases the flesh but does not glorify God is not worship. It is deception. I tell you today, guard your lips from the songs of the devil. Do not allow your spirit to be chained by melodies that weaken your faith. Do not let your worship become corrupted by lyrics that exalt man instead of God. Sing only what strengthens your spirit. Sing only what magnifies God. Sing only what breaks the grip of fear and fills your heart with the power of heaven. For the songs you sing are not just words, they are weapons. And if you choose the wrong weapon, you will lose the battle before it even begins. Beloved, understand this: worship is not entertainment. Worship is warfare. Worship is not about what you feel. It is about who God is. Worship is not about performance. It is about surrender. Worship is not about the stage. It is about the throne. And the devil trembles when the people of God worship in truth. That is why he works tirelessly to corrupt the songs of worship, to twist them into tools of deception. But when you lift your voice in songs that exalt God, songs filled with His truth, songs birthed in His Spirit, every chain is broken, every darkness flees, every fear dissolves. That is the power of true worship. The devil wrote many songs, but you do not have to sing them. You can choose the song of God. You can fill your lips with truth. You can turn your worship into a weapon of victory. Do not settle for empty lyrics. Do not settle for melodies that stir your flesh, but starve your spirit. Sing what glorifies God. Sing what lifts your faith. Sing what breaks the chains. And when you do, you will see the power of God move mightily in your life. For a song of God is not just music. It is fire, it is power, it is life. Beloved, let me open your eyes to something deeper, something that many do not realize. The devil does not always attack with swords, chains, and visible weapons. His most dangerous weapon is subtlety. He works in whispers, in distractions, in counterfeit light. That is why the devil uses songs. Because songs do not look dangerous. They sound beautiful, they feel comforting. They carry melody and rhythm. But behind that sweetness may be poison. Behind that melody may be rebellion. Behind those lyrics may be lies crafted to weaken your devotion to God. Do not underestimate the subtlety of the enemy. What looks harmless may be the very snare that pulls your soul into bondage. Understand this? Every song carries a spirit. The words you sing are not just empty syllables, they are declarations. They are confessions of your faith. When you sing about defeat, you are declaring defeat over your life. When you sing about fear, you are inviting fear into your heart. When you sing about emptiness without magnifying God, you are agreeing with emptiness. The devil knows this. That is why he writes songs that sound spiritual, but are filled with weakness. He wants you to confess defeat with your own lips. He wants you to invite despair into your heart. He wants you to make melodies out of your chains and call it worship. And when you do, you give power to the very lies he planted. But God is calling His people to discernment. God is calling His people to rise above emotional worship and enter into true worship. True worship is not about how the song makes you feel. It is about how the song aligns with the truth of God. A song may give you chills. It may bring you to tears. It may stir your heart. But if it does not glorify God, it is not holy. If it magnifies your feelings more than His greatness, it is not worship. If it entertains your flesh, but does not strengthen your spirit, it is not from God. You must weigh the songs you sing against the truth of God. Does it exalt His power? Does it magnify His holiness? Does it lift your heart into His presence? If not, it is not a song of heaven. The tragedy is that many have confused popularity with purity. Because a song is sung by millions, they assume it is from God. Because it trends on radios, fills stadiums, and echoes across nations, they assume it carries the Spirit of God. But remember, the devil also has followers. The devil also has influence. The devil also knows how to spread his lies far and wide. Do not be deceived by numbers. The majority is not always walking in truth. Many follow the wide road, and only a few walk the narrow path. The same is true of music. The wide road is filled with songs that please the flesh, but the narrow road is filled with songs that glorify God. And let me tell you this, God does not need performance. God does not need stage lights, smoke machines, or polished voices. God is not impressed by your talent. He is moved by your truth. You can have a voice that shakes stadiums, but if your song does not glorify God, it is noise in His ears. You can have instruments that sound like angels, but if the song exalts man more than God, it is empty sound. What God desires is purity of heart. What God desires is lyrics filled with truth. What God desires is worship that comes from the Spirit, not entertainment that feeds the flesh. Some of you must ask yourselves, what are you really singing? Do you even listen to the words, or do you just let the melody carry you? The devil knows if you stop thinking and just keep singing, his lies will seep into your heart unnoticed. That is why discernment is crucial. Guard your lips. Guard your heart. Guard the songs you allow into your spirit. Because songs are seeds, and once planted, they grow. If you plant the seeds of lies, you will reap chains. If you plant the seeds of truth, you will reap freedom. There is another danger, the spirit of imitation. Many churches today no longer seek God for fresh songs. Instead, they copy what the world sings and add God's name to it. They take the rhythms of the world, the melodies of the world, the culture of the world, and try to baptize it in religion. But what is born of the world will always carry the spirit of the world. You cannot take the enemy's music, sprinkle God's name on it, and call it holy. God is not mocked. Holiness cannot be mixed with corruption. Purity cannot be mingled with compromise. A song birthed in the world cannot carry the fire of heaven. It will only carry the spirit of where it was born. And if it was born in rebellion, no matter how beautiful it sounds, it will only spread rebellion. Beloved, true worship costs something. It costs flesh, it costs pride, it costs performance. True worship is not convenient, it is sacrificial. It is not about pleasing man, it is about pleasing God. That is why many do not want to sing the true songs of God. Because those songs demand surrender. Those songs confront sin. Those songs strip away the masks and call you into holiness. And many would rather sing songs that make them feel good than songs that make them bow in reverence before the living God. This is why the devil's songs are more popular. They flatter the flesh while starving the spirit. But the song of God may pierce your heart before it lifts you. It may humble you before it empowers you. It may break you before it rebuilds you. But when you sing it, you are transformed. That is the difference between a song written by the devil and a song born of God. And I must tell you this, songs shape nations. Look at history. Revolutions were fueled by songs. Wars were marched with songs. Cultures were transformed by songs. Songs carry ideologies. Songs shape value. Songs mold generations. Do you not see? If the devil can control the songs of a generation, he can control their thoughts, their desires, their faith. That is why the battle for music is so fierce. The devil is not just fighting for melodies. He is fighting for your soul. He knows if he can write your songs, he can write your future. But if you sing the songs of God, your future is in his hands. Beloved, listen closely. There is a reason the first thing that falls when a people turn away from God is always their music. When a nation drifts from holiness, its songs change first. When hearts grow cold, their lips no longer sing of God's greatness, but of their own desires, their own pleasures, their own idols. Music reveals the state of the soul. If you want to know where a people stand with God, listen to the songs they sing. A generation that exalts God will be known for songs of purity, songs of reverence, songs that lift the spirit into his presence. But a generation that has drifted will be known for songs of rebellion, songs of lust, songs of despair, songs that celebrate everything God has forbidden. This is why the devil fights for music. Because it is the quickest way to turn the hearts of the people. The devil does not need to preach a sermon if he can make you sing his lyrics every day. He does not need to teach you lies if he can clothe them in melodies that feel irresistible. He knows that words alone may be forgotten, but songs linger. A melody repeats in your mind long after the sound has stopped. You hum it while you work. You whisper it while you walk. You dream it in your sleep. This is why music is one of the most powerful tools in the spiritual realm. It is not passive. It is not neutral. It is active. It works in the unseen, shaping thoughts, shaping emotions, shaping spirit. And so the devil writes songs, knowing that if you carry them on your lips, you will carry them in your life. But here is the truth the people of God must grasp. God also gave music as a weapon. When you lift your voice in songs of truth, when you declare his power with melodies born of his spirit, the atmosphere shifts. Darkness cannot remain where God is exalted. Chains cannot hold where faith is sung. Fear cannot thrive where his greatness is declared. This is why David sang before God. This is why prophets lifted their voices in praise. This is why even in battle, the people of God place singers at the front line, because worship is not entertainment. It is warfare. And a song filled with God's power is more dangerous to the devil than 1,000 weapons of a man. So, why is the devil writing songs and planting them in the mouths of believers? Because he knows many have lost their discernment. Many have traded truth for trend, purity for popularity, holiness for hype. They look for songs that excite the crowd, not songs that please God. They seek what sounds beautiful, not what carries his spirit. But remember this: beauty without truth is deception. Talent without purity is corruption. A song may impress thousands, but if it does not glorify God, It is powerless in heaven. Do not be deceived by performance. God is not listening to the quality of your voice. He is listening to the posture of your heart. The devil has deceived many into believing that worship must sound perfect, polished, and professional. But some of the most powerful worship does not happen on stages. It happens in hidden rooms where hearts cry out to God in truth. It happens in prisons, where chains rattle, but voices still rise. It happens in deserts where no instrument is heard, but the heart beats in rhythm with heaven. That is true worship. And the devil hates it because it cannot be manipulated. It cannot be packaged. It cannot be corrupted. We must ask ourselves, why do we sing? Do we sing to feel good? Or do we sing to glorify God? Do we sing to entertain ourselves? Or do we sing to wage war in the spirit? Do we sing to impress others? Or do we sing to move the heart of God? Because intention matters. A song of God must come from a place of reverence, not performance. It must be filled with truth, not just emotion. It must be aligned with His holiness, not our convenience. Another trap the devil has set in music is endless repetition without depth. Songs that circle around the same shallow phrases, stirring emotion but never lifting the heart into truth. And people confuse the rise of feelings with the presence of God. They sway, they weep, they shout. But when the music stops, nothing has changed. Why? Because feelings are not transformation. Emotion is not faith. True worship does not leave you the same. It changes you. It breaks sin. It renews your mind. It strengthens your spirit. A song from God will leave you closer to Him. A song from the devil will leave you empty, though entertained. We must also be careful of songs that subtly twist the truth. Some songs mention God but redefine Him. They reduce Him to a vague idea, a powerless figure, a comforting presence without authority. But God is not vague. God is not powerless. God is not limited. He is the creator of heaven and earth, the ruler of all, the one who holds life and death in His hands. Any song that strips God of His majesty, that paints Him as less than holy, is not a song of heaven. It is a song of deception. And I must tell you, the devil is not afraid of you singing about God. If your song does not honor Him, he is not threatened by your noise. He is threatened by your truth. You can shout, you can dance, you can fill a stadium with sound, but if the lyrics do not glorify God, the devil will not flee. But if you whisper one song of truth, birthed from a heart surrendered to God, all of hell trembles. It is not the volume of your song that matters. It is the spirit behind it. Beloved, you must reclaim the music of heaven. Fill your lips with songs of truth. Train your children to sing songs that exalt God, not songs that glorify the world. Fill your homes with melodies of holiness, not rhythms of corruption. When the devil tries to infiltrate your heart with his songs, silence him with the songs of God. Replace his lies with truth. Replace his despair with praise. Replace his rebellion with surrender. Because every time you sing God's truth, you push back the darkness. The devil wrote songs, yes, but God also gave His people the power to sing. And your song is not just sound, it is spirit. When you sing in truth, you are declaring war on the enemy. When you sing in truth, you are building an altar to God in your heart. When you sing in truth, you are aligning your soul with eternity. That is why the devil is after your songs, because he knows your worship is his defeat. Beloved, hear this with all the weight of truth. When the devil writes a song, he does not simply aim at your ears, he aims at your soul. He knows that music shapes memory more than speeches, that melodies enter the heart even when the mind resists. That is why he weaves lies into rhythm, so that you repeat them willingly, joyfully, unknowingly. And when your lips confess those lies in song, your spirit begins to live them out. Do not underestimate this strategy. It is subtle, but it is deadly. For the words you sing are not harmless. They are seeds planted in your heart, and every seed grows into a harvest. The enemy is not only writing songs of despair and weakness, he is also writing songs of pride. Songs that exalt man more than God. Songs that celebrate the singer more than the creator. Songs that turn worship into performance, where the attention of the crowd becomes more important than the reverence of the heart. And the tragedy is this: many cannot tell the difference. They see lights, hear beautiful voices, feel emotions rise, and they call it worship. But if God is not the center, it is not worship, it is entertainment. It may please the crowd, but it does not please the throne of heaven. And let me tell you something that will shake you. The devil does not care if you mention God in the song, as long as you never glorify him. He does not fear a song that says God's name, but does not magnify his holiness. He does not tremble at lyrics that call out to God, but never declare his power. What he fears is when you exalt God above everything, when you declare his greatness with conviction, when you sing of his majesty with truth. That is what drives darkness away. That is what shakes the atmosphere. That is what brings freedom. The songs of the devil are not always dark in appearance. Sometimes they sound uplifting. Sometimes they sound comforting. Sometimes they even sound holy. But listen carefully. The question is not how they sound, but what spirit they carry. A counterfeit coin looks similar to the real thing, but its value is empty. A counterfeit song may sound like worship, but its spirit is hollow. And hollow worship cannot break chains, cannot open heaven, cannot transform hearts. Only true-filled worship has that power. Some of you must also realize that the devil's songs do not only exist in churches. They exist in the streets, in the marketplaces, in the media, in the devices you carry. Many fill their minds daily with the devil's songs, and then wonder why they struggle to feel the presence of God. You cannot feast on the melodies of the enemy all week and expect to worship with purity on the day of gathering. Your spirit becomes what it consumes. If your ears are filled with corruption, your heart would echo corruption. But if your ears are filled with the truth of God, your spirit will be lifted into holiness. The danger is not only what you sing, but also what you allow others to sing into your life. Be careful of the songs you allow into your home. Be careful of the music you let your children grow up with. For music teaches faster than sermons. Music bypasses arguments and shapes desires. A child who sings the devil's songs will learn his lies before he even knows they are lies. But a child who grows up singing of God's power, God's holiness, God's greatness, will have a spirit trained in truth before the world tries to deceive him. This is why families must guard their songs. This is why parents must lead by example. And let me give you another perspective. When you worship God with pure songs, you are joining the eternal choir of creation. The birds sing their melodies every morning, not to entertain themselves, but to glorify their Maker. The waves crash against the shore in rhythm, declaring His power. The wind whispers through the trees, carrying the sound of His greatness. All creation has a song, and that song glorifies God. But only mankind has been deceived into the songs of rebellion. The devil wants to corrupt the one voice in creation that has the power to consciously choose God. Do not let him steal your voice. Do not let him take your worship and twist it into his instrument. Worship is a sacred trust. Music is a holy gift. It was given to you not to glorify yourself, not to entertain your flesh, but to exalt the one who created you. When you use music for any purpose other than glorifying God, you are misusing His gift. And when you use it to sing the songs of the enemy, you are turning God's gift into the devil's weapon. Beloved, guard this gift with holy fear. Treat it as sacred. Use it as it was meant to be used, to glorify God alone. And know this, the songs you sing shape the battles you win. A warrior who sings the devil's song enters the battlefield already defeated. A believer who sings God's song enters the storm already victorious. This is why Paul and Silas sang in the prison, and the chains fell. Not because of the sound of their voices, but because of the truth in their song. They exalted God even in chains, and the chains had no choice but to break. That is the power of true worship. And the devil hates it because he knows it turns weakness into strength, sorrow into joy, despair into hope. That is why he tries to corrupt your song. So I tell you today with urgency, sing with discernment, sing with wisdom, sing with fire. Let your voice be a sword against the enemy, not a tool for him. Refuse to let the devil write the soundtrack of your life. Refuse to let him poison your worship. Choose the songs of God. Choose truth over trend. Choose holiness over hype. Choose reverence over entertainment. And when you do, your worship will rise like incense before God, shaking the heavens, silencing the enemy, and transforming your very soul. My beloved, I must tell you with the deepest urgency of my spirit, when you allow a song that glorifies self, pride, or worldly pleasure into your lips, you are lifting your voice as an offering not to God, but to the enemy who authored the very melody. Music is not innocent. Words are not harmless. The rhythm, the chant, the vibration, it is either ascending as worship to God, or it is descending as corruption to your soul. The devil does not need to preach from pulpits, for he has already placed his sermons into melodies, and the congregation sings them with lifted hands, thinking they honor God, while their spirits are entangled in chains they cannot see. Do you not realize that from the beginning, music was created to glorify God? Instruments resounded in heaven not for entertainment, but for worship. Yet the fallen one, once a creature of beauty, twisted the gift of sound into a weapon against the very Creator who made him. And now, centuries later, he does not need to whisper lies into your ears. He packages them in choruses, hooks, and refrains, and believers memorize them faster than they memorize the holy words of God. He hides rebellion in rhythm, deceit in harmony, and pride in lyrics, and the people of God sing them without discernment. Can you not feel the weight of this deception? This is why you must guard your ears with the same intensity that you guard your eyes and heart. For every song that you allow into your soul is like planting a seed. If the seed is holy, rooted in the fear of God, it will grow into worship, strength, and reverence. But if the seed is corrupt, planted by the enemy, it will bear fruit of rebellion, distraction, and disobedience. Many wonder why their prayers feel heavy, why their spirits feel dry, why their connection to God feels distant. It is because the song of the enemy has become louder than the song of heaven in their lives. Do not be deceived by the beauty of sound. Just because something sounds pleasant does not mean it is holy. The serpent in the garden did not sound frightening. He sounded persuasive, appealing, almost wise. The same is true with music. The devil does not enter through horror and terror. He enters through sweetness, through what feels harmless, through what feels comforting to the flesh but poison to the spirit. He hides destruction inside beauty, just as a wolf hides under the wool of a sheep. That is why you must test every word, every melody, every rhythm by the standard of God's truth. The people of God must reclaim music for holiness. Your voice was not created to echo the world. It was created to resound with the praises of the Most High. Your heart was not designed to beat to the rhythm of rebellion. It was designed to align with the eternal rhythm of God's presence. But as long as you sing the enemy's songs, you give him access to your soul. You allow him to sit on the throne of your emotions, to dictate your atmosphere, to manipulate your spirit. And if you are not careful, the song will become your prayer, and the prayer will shape your destiny away from God. Beloved, understand this truth. The devil cannot force you to bow before him, but he can seduce you to sing with him. And once you sing with him, you agree with him. Once you agree with him, you align with him. And once you align with him, you are already in rebellion against the one who formed you. Guard your worship as though your very life depends on it, for it does. Worship is not about preference, it is about allegiance. When you open your mouth to sing, you declare whose side you are on. If your lips declare the words of God, you stand in his light. But if your lips echo the words of rebellion, even clothed in beauty, you stand in darkness while believing you are in the light. This is why the devil wages war over music in the church. He knows that if he can corrupt the song, he can corrupt the worship. If he can corrupt the worship, he can corrupt the heart. And if he can corrupt the heart, he can corrupt the destiny of the believer. So, he sends his songs like arrows into the sanctuary, disguised as harmless, but laced with poison. And while the faithful lift their hands, thinking they draw closer to God, their spirits unknowingly echo the rebellion of the enemy. This is why the people of God must awaken. This is why discernment must be sharper than ever before. Do not let your voice become an instrument for the enemy. Do not allow your lips to glorify what God hates. Do not let your heart beat to rhythms that exalt pride, lust, or rebellion. Instead, sanctify your worship. Purify your song. Let your melodies rise as incense to God alone. For when you sing in holiness, the atmosphere shifts, chains are broken, spirits are lifted, and the presence of God descends with power. But when you sing in deception, the opposite occurs. Bondage deepens, confusion spreads, and your spirit drifts away from the very God you long to serve. Beloved, the choice is yours every day. What song will you allow to shape your spirit? Will you give your voice to God? Or will you lend your voice to the enemy? Will you be a vessel of worship, or will you be an echo of rebellion? Remember this: music is not entertainment, it is warfare. Every time you sing, you are either advancing the kingdom of God or advancing the schemes of the devil. Choose wisely, for your worship carries eternal weight. Have you ever stood before a locked door in life, and no matter how much you knocked, it would not open? Have you felt the weight of delay, the frustration of waiting, the sting of rejection? There are moments when it seems as though every door is shut tight and your prayers echo back with silence. But hear me clearly today: when God commands, no door can remain closed. When God speaks, the iron gates swing open. When God decides, no power in heaven, earth, or beneath the earth can stop your breakthrough. And today, I am here to reveal to you a key so simple, yet so powerful, that if you use it with faith, you will see locked doors burst open before you. The key is not in human hands. The key is not in manipulation, compromise, or struggle. The key is in the power of your faith-filled declaration. God has placed authority in your tongue. God has placed strength in your voice. God has given you a command to call those things that are not as though they already are, and to speak with faith until mountains crumble before you. There is a declaration that shakes the heavens, one that breaks barriers, one that confuses the enemy, one that causes angels to move on your behalf. When you speak it with faith, when you release it with fire in your spirit, you are no longer knocking timidly on doors. You are commanding them to open by the authority of God Almighty. And I say to you now, when you declare with faith, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, 3 times with unshakable conviction, something happens in the unseen realm. The doors you thought were locked forever begin to swing wide. The opportunities you thought were gone forever come rushing back. The healing you thought could never reach your body begins to flow like living water. The peace you thought had left your mind returns with power. You see, when you declare it, not once, not twice, but 3 times, you align yourself completely with the authority of God. 3 times, the number of divine confirmation, the seal of heaven's assurance. It is no longer a hope, no longer a wish. It is a decree in alignment with God's will. Say it once and the ground shakes. Say it twice and the heavens move. Say it 3 times and the doors burst wide open. You are not speaking empty words. You are echoing the power of God's promise. You are stamping His authority into your reality. You are reminding the universe that you are not alone, that the God who created every door also holds every key. Do not underestimate the power of repetition in faith. Many people whisper prayers once and give up. Many cry out for a moment and then retreat into doubt. But when you stand boldly and declare again and again, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, You are pressing against the gates until they cannot resist. You are declaring to your heart that fear has no room. You are declaring to your enemies that defeat has no hold. You are declaring to your future that it must align with God's divine plan. Beloved, your voice carries weight when it is filled with faith. The world was created by the voice of God, and He has given you the power to speak into your own reality. Do not waste your words on complaint, on worry, on fear. Use your words as weapons of faith. Use your declarations as keys of authority. Use your voice to unlock the destiny God has already prepared for you. There are doors of healing waiting to open for you. There are doors of provision waiting to open for you. There are doors of peace waiting to open for you. There are doors of breakthrough waiting to open for you. But God is waiting for your faith-filled declaration. God is waiting for you to rise above silence, above fear, above doubt, and to declare His power boldly. When the walls of Jericho stood before the people of God, they did not fall with human strength. They fell because the people lifted their voices not once, not twice, but with continuous declaration until the walls crumbled. The same principle applies to your life. The walls standing before you may look strong, but when you declare God's power 3 times with fire in your heart and conviction in your spirit, you are telling those walls, you cannot stand against the authority of God. Do not be deceived into thinking your situation is permanent. The enemy wants you to believe that the doors will never open. But I declare to you today, those doors are trembling at your faith. They are shaking at your words. They are cracking at the sound of your declaration. When you rise and declare 3 times, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, you are not just speaking, you are commanding in alignment with the King of the universe. Let me ask you, how long will you sit before locked doors without speaking? How long will you cry in silence while the key is in your tongue? How long will you accept delay when God has given you authority? Your words are not ordinary. Your words, when filled with faith in God, carry power. They can open what no man can close. They can release what no hand can bind. They can shift what no force can move. Now I want you to picture your greatest locked door. Maybe it is a financial burden. Maybe it is a broken relationship. Maybe it is sickness in your body. Maybe it is anxiety in your mind. See that door clearly. See it locked before you. And now, rise in your spirit and declare with me, God is my way. God is my strength. God is my deliverer. Say it once. The chains begin to rattle. Say it twice. The hinges begin to shake. Say it 3 times. And watch the door swing wide open before you. Then listen closely, because what I will speak now is not to stir your emotions alone, but to awaken your spirit. The door before you is not greater than the one who created you. That door of resistance, that barrier, that delay, it is not stronger than God. It only looks intimidating because you are seeing it through human eyes. But when you look with the eyes of faith, when you see through the lens of God's greatness, the door is nothing but a fragile lock waiting to be shattered. Every locked door in your life represents a test. It is a test of whether you will trust in your own strength or lean fully on the power of God. The doors are not shut to harm you. They are shut to prove what is inside of you. God allows the doors to be locked so that you may discover the authority He has placed within your spirit. God allows the walls to rise high so that you may discover that your declaration, rooted in faith, can bring them down. It is not about the size of the door. It is about the size of your God. And when you call on Him with boldness, when you declare His power with your whole heart, then nothing in the seen or unseen can stop you. Let me speak plainly. Faith is not silent. Faith is not passive. Faith is not hidden. Faith speaks. Faith declares. Faith roars into the darkness until the light bursts through. The moment you open your mouth and release the authority of God, you shift atmospheres. You may not see it instantly, but the unseen world trembles at your words. Do not be fooled by silence. Just because you do not see immediate movement does not mean the door is not unlocking. God works beyond your sight. When you declare His name 3 times with conviction, you are placing a divine demand on your destiny. You are aligning with the will of the Almighty, and you are forcing the unseen locks to break. There is a reason why the tongue is described as a small part of the body, yet able to set forests ablaze. With it, you can destroy your future, or with it, you can build a new reality. God has designed it this way because He wanted His creation not only to live, but to rule. And the way you rule is by speaking with faith. If your tongue can destroy, how much more can it create when it is surrendered to God? The world was formed by the command of God's voice, and you, created in His image, carry a fragment of that creative authority in your own voice. This is why the enemy wants to silence you. This is why fear whispers, stay quiet. This is why doubt tells you, don't say it, nothing will change. Because the enemy knows the moment you rise and speak in faith, things must shift. Darkness fears your declaration. Bondage fears your command. Closed doors fear your persistence. And when you declare 3 times, you are breaking through the first layer of resistance, the second layer of hesitation, and the third layer of opposition. You are pressing until nothing can resist the authority of God. Consider the prophets of old. They did not remain silent in the face of opposition. They declared the word of God with boldness. They spoke not once, but again and again, until what they proclaimed became reality. They understood that persistence in declaration brings manifestation. Do not speak once and walk away. Do not whisper once and give up. Continue. Press. Declare again. Because when you speak 3 times, you seal your faith with divine confirmation. Some of you listening now have been circling the same door for years. You have prayed silently, hoped secretly, wished quietly, yet nothing has moved. Today I tell you, silence must break. The door will not open until your mouth opens. Your destiny will not shift until your tongue is loosed. You are waiting for God to move, but God is waiting for you to declare. He has already given you the key. He has already given you the authority. He is waiting for you to rise and use it. Lift up your voice now, not with hesitation, but with authority. Declare, is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer. When you say this, you are not repeating empty words. You are unlocking dimensions of faith within you. The first declaration breaks fear. The second declaration builds faith. The third declaration seals victory. And as you stand there, watch as doors begin to shift. Some will open immediately. Some will begin to crack and swing slowly. Some will not only open, but will reveal rooms greater than you ever imagined. Because when God opens a door, He does not just give you access, He gives you abundance. Hear me well, not every door you face is meant for you, but every door meant for you cannot remain closed. Some doors are traps. Some doors are distractions. Some doors are dead ends. But the doors ordained by God for your life, those doors must open when you declare His authority. Do not waste your energy pounding on doors that God Himself has shut. Instead, stand before the doors He has destined for you and use your declaration as the key. And how will you know the difference? You will know because the door that belongs to you will respond to the voice of God in you. It will not resist. It will open because it recognizes the authority of the one who sent you. The power is not in your volume. It is not in how loud you shout. The power is in your faith. You can whisper it, and the heavens will still tremble. If your heart is filled with conviction, you can cry it through tears, and the earth will still move if your spirit is anchored in trust. Say it with trembling lips. Say it with a breaking voice. Say it with weary strength. But say it with faith, and the doors will respond. I tell you this with love. Stop underestimating yourself. Stop living as though you are powerless. God did not create you to be defeated. God did not place you here to beg at the doors of others. God created you with authority. God formed you to walk in dominion. And when you align your voice with His power, you will not merely knock on doors, you will command them to open. The world is filled with those who sit before locked doors and complain. But few rise and declare. Few take the authority of God seriously. Few understand that the key is already in their hands. Do not be among the crowd that waits in silence. Be among the chosen who rise, declare, walk through. Because once you understand this truth, once you practice it, you will never again fear closed doors. You will see them not as obstacles, but as opportunities for God's power to be revealed. And when those doors open, remember this: it was not by your might, not by your wisdom, not by your effort, it was by the hand of God. This is why your declaration is not about you. It is not about your power. It is about surrendering your tongue, your faith, your spirit to the authority of the Almighty. When you say, God is my way, you are renouncing every false path. When you say, God is my strength, you are renouncing self-dependence. When you say, God is my deliverer, you are renouncing every false hope and standing firmly on His power. And as you do, as you speak it 3 times, watch how everything around you begins to align. Watch how obstacles begin to weaken. Watch how enemies begin to scatter. Watch how fear begins to lose its grip. Watch how peace begins to fill your heart. For when God is your way, you cannot be lost. When God is your strength, you cannot be broken. When God is your deliverer, you cannot remain in chains. Beloved, there is something I must remind you with urgency. Destiny is not delayed because of God. Destiny is delayed because of hesitation. Too many people sit waiting for something to change on its own, when God has already put the seed of authority in their own hearts. The doors of your future are waiting for you to act, waiting for you to declare, waiting for you to step forward with faith. God has already written your story, but the ink of His promise is activated by the voice of your faith. The question is not whether God is able. The question is whether you will rise and declare what He has already ordained. Think of this truth. Every locked door in your life is also a locked door in the spiritual realm. It is not just a wooden barrier, a steel gate, or a human obstacle. It is a manifestation of unseen resistance. Behind every locked door is an assignment. Behind every locked door is a portion of your calling. Behind every locked door is the blessing waiting to be born. But do you know what breaks the resistance? It is not tears alone. It is not effort alone. It is not waiting in silence. It is the bold declaration of God's power over that door. The unseen forces cannot resist the sound of faith. They cannot resist the authority that comes when you declare God as your way, your strength, and your deliverer. Some of you have been walking in circles, and the enemy has whispered that you are forgotten. But hear me, you are not forgotten. God has not abandoned you. The door is not closed forever. It is waiting for the moment you rise with unshakable conviction and claim what is already yours. God is waiting to see whether you will settle in defeat or stand in faith. Every test of delay is not meant to destroy you, but to refine you. And when you pass the test, when you declare 3 times with unwavering trust, the door will open in such a way that no one will ever again question whether you walk in the authority of God. Let me speak directly to your heart. Do not fear the sound of silence. Just because you do not hear the door moving does not mean God is not working. Some doors do not open with a creak. They open suddenly with a crash. Some breakthroughs do not announce themselves. They arrive like a flood. That is why you must not stop declaring. That is why you must not stop believing. Because in the very moment when you feel the weakest, in the very hour when it seems impossible, that is when God shows His greatest strength. He waits until every human hand has failed so that His hand alone will be glorified. And when He opens a door, it is not just for you. Listen carefully. When God opens a door for you, generations are blessed through it. When you declare in faith and walk into your breakthrough, you are not just unlocking your own future, you are unlocking the futures of those connected to you. Your family, your children, your community, they all benefit when you refuse to bow to locked doors. You may think you are only fighting for yourself, but in truth, you are fighting for a legacy. When you declare 3 times that God is your way, strength, and deliverer, you are creating a pathway, not only for your own destiny, but for those who will come after you. Do not underestimate the ripple effect of your faith. One person who believes can shift an entire household. One person who declares can unlock blessings for an entire community. One person who refuses to bow to fear can ignite courage in countless others. When you stand and speak, you are not just declaring to your own heart. You are declaring to the world that God reigns, that His power cannot be challenged, that His authority is final. But I must also warn you, there will always be resistance before the breakthrough. The enemy does not hand over ground easily. He will try to shake you. He will try to convince you that nothing is happening. He will try to tire you so that you stop declaring before the 3rd time. But you must endure. You must press. You must not stop short of the full declaration, because the final push, the 3rd command, is what seals the victory. If you stop after the 1st or 2nd, you remain in the middle of the process. But when you finish the 3rd, when you complete the act of faith, the door must obey. There is a mystery in repetition that many ignore. Every time you declare, you are chiseling at the foundation of resistance. The first word shakes the ground. The second strikes the wall. The third breaks it down completely. That is why God requires persistence. That is why He honors endurance. Because He wants you to know that the door did not fall by chance. It fell because you pressed with faith until it could not stand. Now imagine with me, you are standing before the greatest door of your life. Behind it lies your calling, your peace, your provision, your destiny. The enemy has placed guards before it, has locked it with chains, has fortified it with walls of doubt. But you, filled with the spirit of faith, stand tall. You raise your voice and you declare once, God is my way. God is my strength. God is my deliverer. The chains rattle. You declare again, and the hinges shake. You declare the third time, and suddenly the door bursts open, not by your power, but by the hand of the Almighty. And as you walk through, you realize that the only thing keeping you from this moment all along was the silence of your own lips. Hear me? God has given you more authority than you realize. The world has tried to diminish you. People have tried to belittle you. Circumstances have tried to break you. But none of these have the final say. God alone holds the final word. And when you align your voice with His, you are unstoppable. No door can withstand the sound of faith. No chain can resist the authority of God. No prison can hold a spirit that has declared freedom in His name. So I challenge you today, stop living as though you are powerless. Stop shrinking back before locked doors. Stop waiting for someone else to hand you a key. You already carry the key. The authority of your voice, the faith in your heart, the power of your declaration. That is the key God has given you. Use it. Declare it. Speak it 3 times and watch as the impossible becomes possible. And when the doors open, do not forget who opened them. Do not think it was by chance, by luck, or by the favor of men. It was God and God alone. It was His power, His hand, His authority working through your faith. And when you recognize this, your heart will overflow with gratitude. Your spirit will overflow with praise, and your life will overflow with testimony. There is a battlefield that many never recognize, yet it determines everything in your life. The battlefield of the unseen. You may look around and see people, circumstances, or even yourself as the obstacle, but in truth, the greatest resistance comes from forces you cannot see. They place locks on doors meant for you. They whisper lies into your mind. They surround you with fear, so you will not dare to declare. But when you speak with faith, when you declare God's authority over your life, you are not just speaking to circumstances. You are commanding the unseen. You are telling every force of darkness that their time of control has ended. You are telling every chain that its time has come to break. Spiritual warfare is not fought with weapons of this world. It is fought with the word of faith, the fire of prayer, and the declaration of God's power. When you say 3 times with conviction, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, you are striking blows in the unseen realm. Each word is like a hammer against the walls of resistance. Each declaration sends ripples of power into dimensions beyond your sight. And though you may not see the battle, you will see the victory. For no enemy can withstand the voice of a believer who knows the authority of God. Do not be surprised when opposition rises just before the breakthrough. The closer you are to the door, the louder the resistance becomes. The nights may grow darker. The attacks may intensify. The doubt may whisper stronger than ever. But this is the sign that the door is near. The storm is strongest before the calm. The pressure is greatest before the release. This is why you must not give up in the final stretch. Declare with persistence, with fire, with unwavering trust. Because the moment you quit is often the moment before the breakthrough. But the moment you press through with the third declaration, the moment you finish the act of faith, the door bursts open and the battle is won. When the door opens, however, do not walk through it casually. Walk through it with reverence, with gratitude, with purpose. Too many people cry out for open doors, yet when God grants them, they step in carelessly and waste what has been given. An open door is not just an opportunity. It is a responsibility. When God grants you access, He is also trusting you to carry His light into the new place. He is trusting you to represent His greatness where others could not go. He is trusting you to build, to bless, to lift others as you walk in your victory. And hear this, every door you walk through is not the final one. Behind one open door is another. Behind one breakthrough is a greater breakthrough. Behind one testimony is a greater testimony. That is why you must keep declaring. Do not think one victory means the battle is over. No, life is a journey of doors. Some small, some great. Some easy to open, some requiring persistence. But the principle remains the same. When you declare God's power with unwavering faith, no door can resist. Let me take you deeper. The doors you open in the physical are connected to the doors of your heart. If your heart remains closed, even when opportunities come, you will not recognize them. If your spirit is locked in bitterness, fear, or pride, even when the right door swings wide, you may pass it by without entering. That is why the first door you must open is the door of your heart to God fully. Surrender your fear. Lay down your pride. Release the grudges. When your inner door is open, your outer doors will follow. When your heart is aligned with God, every other door will recognize the authority of His presence within you. There is no greater tragedy than a person standing before an open door and being too afraid to walk through. Some of you have prayed for years, declared in faith, and watched God move. Yet when the door stands wide open, fear whispers, what if you fail? What if you are not enough? And many retreat back into the comfort of the familiar. But hear me, if God opened the door, He has already equipped you for what is inside. If God made the way, He has already placed within you the strength to walk it. Do not shrink back when the blessing comes. Do not let fear rob you of what you fought to receive. When God opens the door, step boldly through it, knowing that His strength will sustain you in every step. The open door is not just a blessing, it is also a battlefield. The moment you enter, new challenges arise, new responsibilities call. New levels of faith are required. But you must not shrink, because the same God who opened the door is the same God who will sustain you inside it. The God who parted the sea is the God who guided His people through it. The God who broke the chains is the God who will lead you into freedom. If He has brought you this far, He will not leave you abandoned on the other side. Some of you are afraid of what is behind the door because you imagine giants waiting to devour you. But let me tell you, the giants you fear are already trembling at your arrival. They know that you come not in your own power, but in the authority of God. They know that the door opened not because of you, but because of Him. And when you enter with that confidence, the giants lose their power, fear melts, opposition scatters, because nothing can stand against the one who walks in God's authority. So rise today with courage. Do not only pray for doors to open, prepare yourself to walk through them. Do not only cry for opportunities, ready your spirit to seize them. Do not only declare 3 times, believe deeply that what you speak is already done. Because faith without action is empty. But faith with action, faith with bold steps, faith with surrendered obedience, that faith brings transformation. And I tell you now, as you live in this rhythm, declaring with faith and walking with courage, your life will become a testimony. Others will look at you and see doors opening, battles being won, blessings flowing, and they will ask, how did this happen? And your answer will not point to yourself. Your answer will be, God did it. God was my way. God was my strength. God was my deliverer. And through your testimony, many will find the courage to rise and declare for themselves. And now, as we draw to a close, hear this truth deep in your spirit. No door is too heavy. No chain is too strong. No wall is too high when God is on your side. The power is not in your ability, nor in your wisdom, nor in the strength of men. It is in God alone. And when you align yourself with Him, when you rise in faith and declare with boldness, God is my way, God is my strength, God is my deliverer, 3 times with unshakable conviction, every locked place in your life begins to shift. Do not leave this moment as you came. Do not walk away still bound by silence. Today is the day to use the authority God has given you. Today is the day to stand before every locked door in your life and declare until the hinges shake, until the gates tremble, until the way is made clear. Remember, you are not powerless. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are chosen, equipped, and sustained by the Almighty. So step forward with courage, speak with faith, walk with confidence. And when the doors open, and they will open, enter with gratitude, live with purpose, and shine as a living testimony of God's greatness. For when God is your way, no path can be lost. When God is your strength, no burden can crush you. When God is your deliverer, no prison can hold you. The doors are opening. Rise, declare, and walk into the destiny God has already prepared for you. Have you ever reached a moment in life where you felt like everything was falling apart? Where the weight on your shoulders seemed unbearable? Where every door slammed shut and the people you thought you could rely on turned their backs on you? In those moments, the voice of despair whispers, "It's over. Nothing will change. You are stuck here forever." But I came to tell you today with unwavering conviction, do not believe that lie. Trust God. He will fix your situation. When you look at the ruins of your life, God sees the blueprint for restoration. When you see chaos, God sees order. When you feel hopeless, God is preparing a breakthrough that will leave you speechless. There is a truth that cannot be shaken. God has never failed, and He will not start failing with you. Your situation may look impossible. Your bank account may be empty. Your health may be weak. Your relationships may be broken. Your mind may be heavy with worry. But listen, God does not ask you to solve what only He can solve. He asks you to trust Him. Trust is not passive. Trust is active faith. Trust is saying, I may not see the way, but I know God has the way. Trust is declaring, though I am surrounded by storms, I know God will calm the waves. Trust is standing firm when every voice tells you to give up, and still believing that God will fix it. Do not let your present trouble deceive you. Do not let your pain make you blind to the power of God. The same God who created the heavens and the earth, who spoke light into darkness, who separated seas and raised nations. This is the God who is watching over you right now. Your problem may be big, but God is greater. Your enemies may be many, but God is stronger. Your resources may be few, but God owns everything. When you lean on Him, you will find that what looks shattered in human eyes is only a canvas for His miracle. Some of you are living in silence, carrying secret burdens that no one knows. You cry in the dark, smile in the light. but inside you are weary. You are asking, why is this happening? When will it change? Does anyone care? I assure you, God cares. God has seen your tears. God has heard your prayers. And God has already set in motion the answer. The delay is not denial. The waiting is not rejection. The silence is not abandonment. Trust God. He will fix it at the right time, in the right way, with a result so perfect that you will understand why He made you wait. When you fix your eyes on the problem grows bigger. But when you fix your eyes on God, the problem shrinks in comparison to His greatness. Some of you are chained by fear. You keep replaying what could go wrong instead of believing in what God can make right. Fear is the enemy of trust. Fear whispers lies. You will never recover. You will never succeed. You will never be free. But faith anchored in God declares, my destiny is in the hands of the Almighty. My future cannot be destroyed by fear. My tomorrow is safe in His plan. God has never abandoned those who trust Him, and He will not abandon you. Even now, God is working behind the scenes, even when you cannot see it. He is aligning circumstances. Even when you cannot feel it, He is strengthening you. Even when nothing seems to move, He is preparing the shift. That sickness that looks final is not final with God. That failure that seems permanent is not permanent with God. That betrayal that broke your heart will not stop your destiny with God. Trust Him with every detail of your life, and you will see that He takes what was meant for harm and turns it into good. Stop trying to control what you were never meant to control. Stop worrying about what you cannot change. Stop exhausting yourself with questions that only God has the answers to. Instead, surrender. Lift your heart and say, God, I trust You. Even if I don't understand, I trust You. Even if it hurts, I trust You. Even if I cannot see, I trust You. That act of surrender is not weakness. It is the greatest strength you will ever know. Because when you let go, God steps in. When you stop fighting battles that are not yours, God fights them for you. When you lay down your burden, God carries it with His power. Remember, these situations change, but God does not change. People may fail you, but God will never fail you. Doors may close, but God can open new ones no one can shut. Enemies may rise against you, but God can silence them with a single word. Trust Him. Trust Him when the night feels endless. Trust Him when the valley is deep. Trust Him when the storm is violent. Trust Him when nothing makes sense. Because trusting God is never wasted. And sooner than you think, you will see with your own eyes that God has fixed what no human hand could repair. There are moments in life when everything inside you screams to give up. Your strength feels drained. Your mind is clouded. Your soul feels crushed. But let me tell you this truth. When your strength ends, that is where God begins. The hand of God is not shortened. His power is not limited. His mercy is not exhausted. You may look at yourself and say, I am weak, I am broken, I am nothing. But God looks at you and says, you are mine, and I will raise you up. That is the essence of trust. Believing that though you may fall to the ground, God will lift you higher than you were before. Do not allow your past mistakes to imprison you. Too many of you live with guilt and regret, thinking that Because you failed yesterday, you have no future tomorrow. That is a lie designed to keep you bound. God is not finished with you. If He woke you up this morning, it is because your purpose is still alive. God does not define you by your failures. He defines you by the destiny He placed within you. Trust Him to take your broken pieces and create something so beautiful that people will look at your life and know only God could have done it. When you trust God, you stop begging for scraps of approval from people. You stop chasing after things that cannot satisfy. You stop kneeling before problems that are smaller than the one you serve. Trusting God gives you a boldness, a peace, and a courage that nothing in this world can steal. The storms may rage, but your heart is calm because you know who holds the winds. The battle may roar, but you stand firm because you know who fights for you. The future may be unknown, but your steps are steady because you know who guides them. Some of you are in a wilderness season right now. Nothing is moving. Nothing seems to grow. You feel forgotten. But listen, the wilderness is not a place of abandonment. It is a place of preparation. God is shaping you in the silence. God is training you in the waiting. God is removing what you don't need and strengthening what you do. And when the appointed time comes, you will step out of that wilderness stronger, wiser, and ready to walk into the blessing God has prepared for you. Trust Him in the wilderness, because the wilderness is the doorway to your promised future. Do not envy those who seem to rise without God. Their success may look flashy, their lives may appear easy, but without God, it is an empty crown. What is built without God will crumble. What is achieved without God will wither. But what is planted in God, no man can uproot. When you put your trust in Him, your foundation is unshakable. Your blessings will not be temporary, they will be eternal. Your victories will not be hollow, they will be complete. God will make sure of it. Trust is tested most when God is silent. Silence is not absence. Silence is not neglect. Silence is a test of whether you believe in His presence, even when you cannot hear His voice. Do you trust Him enough to keep walking in the dark, knowing His hand still holds you? Do you trust Him enough to keep praying, even when the answer hasn't come? Do you trust Him enough to keep believing, even when the evidence around you contradicts the promise inside you? If you can trust Him in the silence, you will see Him in the breakthrough. God's wisdom is higher than your understanding. Sometimes He closes a door not because He is punishing you, but because He is protecting you. Sometimes He delays a blessing not because He has forgotten you, but because He is perfecting it. Sometimes He allows the storm not to destroy you, but to teach you how to rise above it. Trust that God sees the whole picture while you only see a fragment. What you think is a setback is often the very thing positioning you for your greatest advancement. And hear me well, God does not need ideal conditions to fix your situation. He does not need people to agree with you. He does not need your circumstances to look favorable. He does not need resources in your hand to provide. He can create rivers in the desert. He can bring light out of darkness. He can make a way where there is no way. Do not measure the possibility of your breakthrough by the size of your problem. Measure it by the greatness of your God. Some of you are trapped in worry, and it is stealing your peace. Worry changes nothing, but trust changes everything. Worry drains you, but trust empowers you. Worry blinds you, but trust opens your eyes to possibilities you never imagined. Worry keeps you small, but trust lifts you into the greatness God designed for you. God never created you to live as a prisoner of anxiety. He created you to walk in freedom, strength, and faith. The only key to that freedom is trust, deep, unshakable trust in God. The time has come for you to let go of the excuses. Stop saying, "I can't because it's too late." With God, it is never too late. Stop saying, "I can't because I don't have enough." With God, He is your enough. Stop saying, "I can't because I am not qualified." With God, He qualifies the unqualified. Stop saying, "I can't because I am too broken." With God, brokenness is the very material He uses to show His power. Trust Him, and you will see that nothing can stop His hand from moving in your life. There are seasons in your life when the weight of hardship feels unbearable, when no solution seems near, when people's words cut deeper than swords, and when the silence of your nights feels louder than the noise of your days. But even in those seasons, I urge you, do not turn your eyes away from God. For in the silence, God is whispering strength. In the pain, God is shaping purpose. In the delay, God is preparing a greater blessing than you ever imagined. What you call burden, God calls training. What you're calling, God calls beginning. Trust Him. He is not finished with you yet. So often we measure our hope by what we see in front of us. If the bank account is low, we say there is no hope. If the diagnosis is bad, we say there is no hope. If people walk away, we say there is no hope. But hear this clearly. Hope does not come from circumstances. Hope comes from God. The same God who provides for the birds in the air and clothes the flowers in the field has promised to sustain you. Your circumstances may change daily, but the God who holds you never changes. He is the anchor that keeps you steady when everything else shifts. Trust Him beyond what you see. Some of you have been asking, why is this happening to me? You think your pain is punishment. But no, your pain is not punishment. It is positioning. God allows certain challenges to come into your life, not to destroy you, but to place you where you need to be for His plan to unfold. If Joseph had not been betrayed by his brothers, he would not have reached the palace. If Daniel had not been thrown into the den, he would not have been lifted before kings. Your current trial may be the very road that carries you into your destiny. Trust God, because He is working through what feels unfair to bring about what is beyond fair, His divine justice and favor. Stop comparing your journey to others. Some are rising faster, some are succeeding sooner, some are celebrated while you are ignored. But comparison is the thief of trust. God's plan for your life is not a duplicate of another person's. Your timing is not their timing. Your path is not their path. Trust that God knows exactly when to open the door for you. If you try to force it, you will exalt yourself. If you try to copy others, you will miss your unique blessing. Wait on God. His timing is perfect. When He decides it is your season, no power in this world can stop what He has ordained for you. Many live in bitterness because of betrayal. People you trusted broke their promises. People you loved turned against you. People you supported abandoned you in your weakest hour. But here, this trust in God will heal what human betrayal has broken. Do not give bitterness the power to poison your heart. Release them, not for their sake, but for your own. For when you trust that God is your defender, you stop seeking revenge. When you trust that God sees every injustice, you stop worrying about human judgment. And when you trust that God is your avenger, you can walk in peace knowing that no betrayal can cancel His plan for you. Trusting God is not only for the big things. It is for the small things too. Every detail of your life matters to Him. The conversation you had today, the thought that troubled your mind, the decision you must make tomorrow. God cares about all of it. He is not just the God of miracles. He is the God of daily bread. He provides in the little, so you will have strength for the much. Too often, we trust God only for the dramatic breakthroughs, but not for the ordinary steps of life. Learn to trust Him in the everyday, and you will discover that even the small things align perfectly when He is guiding your path. Do not be deceived by temporary setbacks. A delay is not a defeat. A closed door is not the end. A fall is not final. Trust God enough to rise again. The righteous are not those who never fall. They are those who trust God to lift them after every fall. Life will push you down, but God will raise you higher. Life will strip things away, but God will restore with abundance. Life will test you, but God will reward your endurance. Trust Him when you are down, for it is only a matter of time before He places you on higher ground. When fear surrounds you, remember that God is greater than every fear. Fear looks at the storm, but trust looks at the one who commands the storm. Fear magnifies the problem, but trust magnifies God's power. Fear paralyzes, but trust propels. Fear whispers, "You can't," but trust declares, "With God I will." Do not let fear have the final word in your life. Replace every fearful thought with trust. Say to yourself in the middle of the night, "God is with me." Say in the face of uncertainty, "God will guide me." Say in the midst of lack, "God will provide for me." This is how you win. By placing your confidence not in what you see, but in the God you serve. And let me remind you, trusting God is not weak hope, it is unshakable confidence. It is not a wish, it is an assurance. When you trust Him, you are not crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. You are standing firm on the guarantee that God does not fail. His promises are unbreakable. His will is unstoppable. His love is unending. When you trust Him, you are saying, "I know my life is in the safest hands." And those hands will never let you go. When life presses you to the ground, and you feel as though your prayers rise no higher than the ceiling, that is when you must anchor your soul in the unshakable truth that God hears, God sees, and God answers. Do not be fooled by how things appear. The silence of heaven does not mean the absence of God. He is nearer to you in your valley than He was when you stood on the mountaintop. Trust Him, because what feels like delay is often God's way of preparing you for a blessing so great that you could not handle it if it came too soon. There is a hidden strength that comes only when you put your trust in God. It is the strength that keeps you walking when others quit. It is the peace that steadies your heart when others lose their minds in panic. It is the courage that allows you to face giants that everyone else runs away from. Trust in God does not make life easier, but it makes you unbreakable in the face of hardship. You may bend under the storm, but you will not snap. You may stumble under the weight, but you will not collapse, because the power that holds you is not your own. It is God's. Let me speak to those who feel forgotten. Perhaps you look around and it seems as though everyone else is advancing while you remain in the same place. Doors open for others but stay locked for you. Opportunities find them but bypass you. Listen closely, you are not forgotten. God has written your name on the palm of His hand. He has marked your life with divine purpose. What He has ordained for you cannot be stolen, delayed, or denied by anyone. Trust Him, because when the right moment arrives, He will lift you so high that the years of waiting will look like nothing compared to the glory of the blessing. You must also understand that trusting God requires letting go of the need to control. Control is rooted in fear. Fear that if you don't manage everything, it will fall apart. But trust says, even if I don't understand, I believe God holds it all together. Release the steering wheel of your life. You are not the driver. God is. The more you fight to control what is beyond you, the more you tire yourself out. But the moment you surrender, you step into supernatural rest. That rest is not laziness. It is confidence in the one who never sleeps, never grows weary, and never miscalculates. Some of you are living in cycles that repeat over and over. Financial struggles, broken relationships, inner battles that never seem to end. And you wonder, will this ever change? Yes, it will. When you shift from depending on yourself to depending on God, your wisdom cannot fix it, your strength cannot carry it, your effort cannot resolve it. But one touch from God can break cycles that lasted generations. One command from God can end years of pain in a single moment. One whisper from God can silence storms that have tormented you for decades. Do not underestimate what happens when you place your full trust in Him. Trust is not built in comfort, it is built in crisis. Anyone can say they trust God when the sun is shining and the path is smooth. But real trust is forged in the fire of adversity. When you lose what you thought you could not live without and yet still stand, because God sustains you. That is trust. When every resource dries up and you still say, God will provide, that is trust. When every voice says, give up, and you declare God is still in control, that is trust. Trust born in the fire carries a power that cannot be shaken because it has been tested and proven. I want you to see your pain differently. Do not despise the nights you cried, the prayers that seemed unanswered, the doors that stayed closed. Those were not wasted moments. They were molding moments. God uses the weight of struggle to build the muscle of faith. He uses the silence to sharpen your hearing. He uses the waiting to teach you patience. And He uses the battle to train your hands for victory. If you trust Him, every tear you shed will water the ground of your future harvest. Every disappointment will set the stage for greater appointments. Every loss will be the seed of greater gain. There is a danger in trusting in people more than in God. People may promise to stand with you, but their strength is limited. People may say they will never fail you, but they are human and frail. When your hope is built on others, your foundation is fragile. But when your trust is anchored in God, nothing can shake you. People may abandon you, but God will never abandon you. People may betray you, but God will always defend you. People may misjudge you, but God knows the truth of your heart. Put your trust in Him, and you will never be left ashamed. Do not allow the enemy of your soul to convince you that your situation is beyond repair. There is no damage too deep, no mistake too great, no wound too severe for God to heal. He is the mender of broken lives, the restorer of shattered dreams, the rebuilder of ruined foundations. You may see ashes, but God sees beauty. You may see ruin, but God sees restoration. You may see an end, but God sees a new beginning. Trust Him to rewrite your story in a way that no human hand ever could. And let me tell you this, trusting God is not just about believing He will fix your situation. It is about believing that He will make it better than it was before. He does not simply patch up the broken, He makes it new. He does not just return what was lost, He multiplies it. He does not only close wounds, He leaves you with scars that testify to His power. Trust God not for a small repair, but for a complete transformation. He is not the God of half measures. He is the God of wholeness, abundance, and overflow. When the storms of life rage, many run seeking shelter in places that cannot protect them. Some run to people, hoping for comfort. Some run to wealth, hoping for stability. Some run to distractions, hoping to escape. But none of these can fix the storm inside you. Only God can speak to the winds of your soul and command them to be still. Only God can take the chaos around you and replace it with a peace that cannot be shaken. This is why your first step in every trial must not be to lean on your own strength, but to fall into the hands of the Almighty and declare, I trust you, God. You alone are my refuge. A trusting God is not weakness. It is the greatest strength a human can carry. The world teaches you to rely on logic, calculation, and self-reliance, but logic cannot explain how God opens a door where there was only a wall. Calculation cannot measure the provision of the one who owns all creation. Self-reliance cannot carry you when life strikes with a force stronger than your will. But trust in God lifts you beyond logic, beyond numbers, beyond human capacity. Trust says, even when I cannot add it up, God will multiply it. Even when I cannot see it, God is working it. Even when I cannot fight it, God is conquering it. Many are afraid of surrender because they think surrender means defeat. But when you surrender to God, you step into the highest victory. Surrender does not mean giving up, it means giving over. It means handing your burdens, your fears, and your broken pieces into the hands of the one who can fix them perfectly. It means saying, God, I cannot, but I know you can. And once you release control, you make room for God's power to move. Trust grows where surrender begins. Some of you are battling thoughts that keep you awake at night. Voices of doubt, whispers of fear, lies that tell you nothing will ever change. But hear me, those voices do not have the final authority. God's word over your life is greater than the lies in your head. God's promise to you is stronger than the fear that grips your heart. Trust in God silences the noise of despair. When you declare, I believe God above all else, every lie begins to crumble. Fear cannot dwell where trust lives. Darkness cannot remain where the light of faith shines. You may be looking at a mountain that seems immovable. You have tried everything, yet it stands tall. But trust in God does not ask you to push the mountain. It asks you to believe that God can move it. Your role is not to figure out how. It is to believe that He will. And when God moves what you thought could never shift, you will know without doubt that it was His hand, not your effort. The pro victory. Mountains tremble before His power, seas part at His command, and time itself bends to His will. What makes you think your situation is too hard for Him? Let me remind you, God's timing is not our timing. We live by clocks and calendars, always counting days and hours. But God lives beyond time. He knows the end from the beginning, the future from the past, the unseen from the visible. What looks late to you is right on time to Him. Sometimes God delays not because you are forgotten, but because He is arranging every detail so that when the blessing arrives, it will be undeniable that it came from Him. Trust His timing. When He opens the door, it will be so perfect that you will say, had it come sooner, I would not have been ready. Had it come later, I would have missed it. But God brought it at the appointed time. Trusting God also means believing that He can take even the worst chapters of your life and turn them into testimonies. Do not despise your scars. They are proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. Do not hide your wounds. They are reminders of God's healing power. Every trial you endures is shaping you into a living testimony of His faithfulness. One day, someone will look at your life, hear your story, and their faith will rise. Not because of what you did, but because of what God did through you when you trusted Him. Some of you think your prayers are too small for God. You hesitate to ask because you believe He is too great to care about your daily needs. But I tell you, God is both the God of galaxies and the God of details. He who sustains the stars is the same one who provides your daily bread. He who governs nations is the same one who counts every hair on your head. Trust Him not only with the monumental battles, but with the smallest matters of your life. He delights when His children trust Him fully in all things great and small. Let me speak to those who are tired. You have fought battles for years. You have prayed. You have hoped. And still the struggle continues. You feel drained as if nothing will ever shift. But I declare to you, your waiting is not wasted. God is storing every tear, recording every prayer, and counting every step of endurance. At the right moment, He will pour out a blessing that makes every season of struggle worthwhile. Do not give up now. You are closer to the breakthrough than you realize. Trust God one more day, one more prayer, one more act of faith. That one act may be the key that unlocks your miracle. And here, this God does not only fix situations, He transforms lives. You may think the answer you need is a change in circumstances, but often the greatest miracle is the change God works inside you while you wait. He uses waiting to build patience. He uses trials to produce endurance. He uses pain to deepen compassion. When you trust Him, you emerge not only with a changed situation, but with a changed heart, stronger, wiser, more resilient, and more anchored in His presence than ever before. When everything in life seems overwhelming, when the weight of your trials feels heavier than you can bear, remember this: God has never abandoned you, and He never will. What looks impossible to man is always possible with God. He is the one who parts seas, breaks chains, and opens doors that no power on earth can shut. Your situation may look broken, but in the hands of God, even broken pieces become a masterpiece. He is not limited by your resources, your past, or your circumstances. He is the unlimited source of strength, hope, and restoration. So stand firm in your faith, even when the storm rages, because storms do not last forever. Trust God, and He will turn your pain into power, your fear into courage, and your tears into testimonies. Do not let doubt steal your peace, for the same God who created the universe is working behind the scenes for you right now. He is aligning people, opportunities, and blessings in ways you cannot yet see. Lift up your head, strengthen your heart, and keep your trust anchored in God alone. For in due season, the very thing that was sent to break you will be the platform on which God lifts you higher. Hold on, because God is faithful. Trust Him, and He will fix your situation, not just in a small way, but in a way so great that you will look back and say, surely it was only God who could have done this.